Hey guys, and welcome to this hobby tips video. So today we're going to talk about clippers. When you're starting out, it's always a huge variety of options that you can choose from when it comes to your tools and stuff like that, and it can be a bit daunting. So I thought I'd just throw my 2 cents in and say what I think about when you're starting out, or even when you're midway through, and what's the go with these clippers, and do you need them, and all that sort of thing. So I definitely think you do. I think that's they're really useful. You can do everything with a knife, but I think that clippers really help. And so when I started, as we can see here, these old guys here, they're a bit worn. And so I started, this is like very old school Games Workshop clippers. This is like super old school. And you can see they've been through the wars, and they're still going, they're a little bit chipped. But they're pretty cool, and they're what I would consider to be like mid-tier, your $20 to $40 range of clippers, and they're great. And then I've finally invested in, the high tier, I guess, and this is these are from Tamiya, aren't they? Yep, Tamiya, and they're like the $70, $80 pair, you know what I mean? And much finer and sharper steel there, as we can see, and a nice grip. And so I would definitely recommend getting a pair. Certainly, if you're just starting out, then I would say probably the mid-range. But if you can afford it, definitely go for one of these higher-end ones, because they are going to be amazing for cutting out your models. And then if you do even have enough money for both, I would suggest a mid-tier one and a high-tier one, so that you can quickly cut things out with your good set for the miniatures that you have on the sprue, and then use your mid-tier one for things like terrain, clipping out other pieces, or if you're doing conversions, if you want to do bulk cuts on large areas, that's what I would use, like your mid-tier one here for that kind of bulk work, and then the fine stuff for your actual models with that. So let's take a look and see how they cut on the model. Alright, so first up we have a look at, we'll just take this AOS Black King sprue here, and we're going to take a look at how it goes when it's cutting. So with our little mid-tier one, and yes, this is old, but you get the same result. What can happen is you're going to put the flush side to the model, and you'll see that, like, sometimes when you're clipping it like this, it's probably going to tear the plastic a little bit. Now you can resolve that by cutting further up the sprue, and then using a knife to cut the rest off, which is what a lot of people do, but we want to go fast here, so let's not worry about that. But we can see here there's quite a lot of tearing and little bits of the sprue that's sticking out, and you have to go back and clean that. So that's going to take more of your time, right? And so the advantage of investing in one of these higher end clippers, which I would definitely recommend, is that we're not going to get as much of that tearing. So let's just take a look and see what happens when we clip off a piece. So let's try, we'll just try this bell here and see how it goes. So we'll just clip that out the same way. We can't quite get in there, so this is where we will need a knife for that spot. Even the sharpness of these won't actually get into that, but that'll get pretty close. Okay, clip it out and around, and in that little spot there. Let's take a look and see the difference of this. Already it feels much better, so apart from that top one there, but if we see under there, see how much more flush that is, so we can do a comparison. You can see that there's way more of the sprue on the one that's on the lower tier clippers are leaving a lot more, and this is like virtually flush, and you're getting less tearing. And if we have a look at some of these spots, they're a lot more flush. There's less to clean up. So once over with your knife, and I'd recommend getting a good knife. So this is a surgical blade with replaceable blade ends. So something like this is great. You pick that up from your art shop, and then you can just go through and clean off the edges, but that's going to be a lot faster. And so my feelings on this now that I've upgraded is these are just really lovely, and you get nice smooth buttery cuts that are going to help you to speed up your time and get to the really fun bit, which is building and painting the models, rather than all this like clipping out on sprues and so on. So I just thought I'd put my 2 cents in there for anyone that's thinking about getting clippers or doesn't know much about them. the main thing is just to look for something that has a flat edge, and I would suggest a hobby brand of clipper, not just one from the hardware. And you're getting that nice flat side and then the bevel side, and it should have a point on it. So whichever pair you're going to get, you want something with this type of profile, and that's going to give you the best result. But if you can't afford it, go for something a little bit more expensive, because that is going to really help you and save your bigger, broader cuts with something cheaper that you can mess up and you know, ruin like I've done with these, and that will save your good pair for a very, very long time. This pair is coming on 20 years probably, and it's still going even at the mid tier, so I would imagine that this one is going to last way more than 20 years and probably keep its edge a lot more than what this one has. So yep, that's my 2 cents on that. I hope that's helped, and yep, I'll catch you on the next one.